Hello, Ascension friends. I'm Beth Kunde-Anderson. I've been part of the Ascension family for 30 years now. If I look familiar, it may be because I've been part of the liturgical and music ministry for many years. Taizé prayer, or because my daughters Rebecca and Sarah were raised in Ascension, both through Ascension School and religious education. Let's begin by creating for ourselves a little bit of calm and focus. The Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ is always within us. Remember this deeply and welcome the presence of the Holy Spirit. Let us pray. Holy Spirit, guide us now. Free our hearts and minds to receive the amazing gifts of the Holy Word of God. May the scripture that is offered to us today dwell in us richly and nourish us on our daily journey as disciples of Jesus Christ. We make this prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen. Today we're called into an encounter with the gospel passage assigned for October 25th, the 30th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The passage is Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 through 40. If you have a Bible or another printed or online resource, please read along if you would like to. This gospel is quite brief, so it gives us the opportunity to read it through twice. Perhaps something will take hold of you a little differently in the second hearing. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments." A second time. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments." The Gospel of the Lord. Well, here's how my first encounter with this reading went this last couple of weeks as I've spent some time with it. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. Well, that's very attractive. A real quest, but holy and sublime and beautiful. Turn my attention to God, perhaps more frequently or more fervently than I do now, and profess my love. Pray and remember that I do love God, and hope that the remembering helps the love grow. I can be pious. I love being Catholic. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Wait, really? That doesn't seem at all like the first one. That was all take some time and sit down and pray, and this is much more gritty and real. So you're saying, love the person who has insulted me on Facebook. Love the coworker who dismisses all my ideas. Love the person who made such bad choices that they're in trouble now and expect me to rescue them. And love the people who are supporting the wrong candidate. Sometimes, maybe even often, it seems like the abstract idea of loving God is so much easier to wrap our arms around than the command to actually love each other, each messy, flawed human being, messy and flawed just like each of us. So, some thoughts about what that loving of neighbor might mean and what it might look like. First, I'll share some definitions of this kind of love that I have found. One is covenant fidelity. Another is committed stance for the good of the other. Maybe this isn't how we imagined or heard the word love when we first read the scripture. Both of these phrases show us that this love is what we take on as baptized Christians, and that there is an ongoing process to strive for commitment and fidelity to this love. Will we be imperfect? And will we make mistakes and even fail? Yes, we will, but we're still on the road. So what does it look like? A recent retreat I attended reminded us that Jesus' ministry wasn't abstract at all. He engaged each person and each situation in front of him, creatively reacting to the current need. I think this can help us embrace the challenge of loving our neighbors as ourselves. We can find that committed stance, one encounter at a time. We can each find examples of what this love looks like, but here are some that came to me. When we follow the guidelines to restrict the spread of COVID-19, it's not just because we want to avoid getting sick ourselves. We're also taking a committed stance to keep others healthy. As we carefully and prayerfully consider how to vote, we are taking a committed stance for the good of our local and national communities. And here at Ascension, as we continue to live as Christ's body even while separated from gatherings, as we check in on elderly neighbors, connect with family on computer screens, and manage our work and our school from home, committed stance for the good of others. So imagining and thinking about those everyday encounters and situations brings me right back to the question of how this second commandment to love our neighbor as ourselves is like the first commandment. If I am to love God with all my heart, all my soul, and all my mind, I'm realizing that it can't possibly mean I should turn all of those resources toward devotion and not spend any of my heart or soul or mind loving others, right? So maybe it's just my analytical mind wanting to make sense of everything, but I believe that the second commandment is related to the first, because if we engage our hearts, souls, and minds in loving our neighbor, that is actually the love God is asking for in loving God. It's all the same unitive love. Awareness of the holiness in these daily activities nurtures our love of God, and the prayer and time we spend with God feeds the love of neighbor. For us right here, I'd like to propose boldly perhaps that there's a third commandment that's also like the first and the second, especially during this time of great affliction. Paul's words in today's second reading, this great affliction of the pandemic. My third commandment is this: let your neighbor love you. Welcome love. When others encounter you with their committed stance for your good, lean in. Get in the stream of the unifying love that flows through God and God's people. Let your feet be washed and be thankful. So let's close with an idea for this week. Perhaps choose an upcoming encounter you know is going to happen this week, and plan in that encounter to be mindful that your normal good work is holy. It's the holy love of neighbor, the holy love of God. Have a good week, dear family.